as Cameroonian youths commemorate the 55th National Youth Day with the call to uphold peace, promote social stability and national unity. Youths in the Southwest region, or some youths of the Southwest region, have chosen to go to the street asking that they be involved in decision making and key issues that concerns the development of the Southwest region. They move across the major streets in the Southwest regional chief town of Buea, moving right up to the governor's office, and of course we shall be telling you more in this edition of the newscast. And also in this edition of the news, we give you the message of President Paul Biya, the president who has called on some youths in Cameroon to distance themselves from those who have taken up arms against the state of Cameroon. He also says youths who are promoting differences and hate speeches on social media must be avoided by youths in Cameroon who want the country to prosper. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining Equinox Television on our primetime newscast. We are live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinox Central News Desk. We begin with the 55th National Youth Day message of President Paul Biya to the Cameroonian youth. President Paul Biya, after giving assurance of a better Cameroon for the youth, asked Cameroonian youths to distance themselves from youths who have taken up arms against the state, and also those who are promoting hate speech, division, and hate messages on social media. These are some of the key issues made out of the message of President Paul Biya in this summary comprised by Innocent Ase.
Addressing the youth on the eve of the 55th edition of the National Youth Day, President Paul Biya told the young Cameroonians to be hopeful and that the right moment has come for them to exploit the merits of increasing opportunities for employment and assist in nation building with peace and love for the fatherland.
Be pragmatic and persevering. Do not yield to pessimism and discouragement. Shun adventurous paths and those that seek easy gain. My dear young compatriots, as I have often told you, you should never lose hope in our country. You should have faith in the future of a winning Cameroon, where everyone is willing to work for the general interest. You should remain at the forefront to fight the vital battles of our time. This does not mean that I am overlooking the difficulties you are facing. It is obvious that your mission today is the preservation of the peace, unity, and prosperity of our country, beyond the inescapable constraints due to the changes taking place in the world. If you embark on the conquest of the world, come back to build your country.
Government, he added, will continue to ensure the effective youth participation in the nation's socio-economic life. He advises young Cameroonians to acquaint themselves with the National Development Strategy adopted recently for the 2035 Development Drive.
I had already ordered the development of several youth support programs. These initiatives are being implemented in various production sectors. The solution of the thorny problem of youth employment in our country depends to a large extent on their implementation. The programs include a special youth 3-year plan, which in 2020 financed about 5,500 projects for a total amount of nearly 15 billion CFA francs, thus enabling the settlement of a little more than 16,000 young people in 66 second-generation pioneer villages. The Decent Employment Program, which aims to create 500,000 jobs during the 2021 financial year.
President Paul Biya urged the young compatriots to refrain from ill use of social media and anti-patriotic Cameroonians in the diaspora who work to weaken roots of the nation's unity.
They are anti-role models. I urge you to stay away from them. They are not contributing to building a prosperous Cameroon that is united in its diversity, an exemplary Cameroon that we all fervently long for.
The head of state did not fail to acknowledge the roles youths in the military play in preserving Cameroon's territorial integrity.
Peace is a prerequisite for progress. As you're aware, it has been threatened for a few years now in our country by armed gangs that are spreading terror on the western border of the far north and in some areas in the northwest and southwest. Our eastern border is also facing insecurity. Fortunately, our young soldiers are actively engaged with determination, professionalism, and a high sense of sacrifice in restoring peace to our country. Young people are the most active in vigilante committees, which are providing valuable support to the defense and security forces. These dedicated and committed youth are the pride of our country. They are a model of abnegation, patriotic service for the common interest, and preservation of national sovereignty and unity. May their example inspire you in various other aspects of national life.
Youths in and out of Cameroon, according to the head of state, Paul Biya, must cultivate the spirit of peace, harmony and tolerance for the development and promotion of Cameroon.
Long live Cameroonian youth. Long live Cameroon.
While saluting the efforts of youth in the successful hosting of the African Nations Championship, that is Total Chan Cameroon 2020, President Paul Biya also gave assurance that Cameroon will be able to successfully host the CAN 2021, which will be played in 2022 in Cameroon. President Paul Biya also made a review of the sporting infrastructures in Cameroon, saying that Cameroon can now boast of first-class sporting infrastructure, issues which are put in place by the government in order to make youth more comfortable and have avenues to showcase their talent.
It was an excellent opportunity to commune with all young African sportsmen and women and to showcase the vitality of the Cameroonian people. On that occasion, Cameroon, which is renowned for its legendary hospitality, was up to the task, thanks notably to the massive mobilization of its dynamic, talented, and enthusiastic youth. By hosting the Total Chan 2020, our country was able to offer other young people from Africa and the world a wonderful sports and cultural festival, as well as a pleasant moment of entertainment within a rather challenging health context. Given the success of this sporting event, I feel like saying that 2021 is beginning on a positive note for our youth. And I hope that this breath of fresh air will rekindle lasting hope in every one of you. Another event, the African Cup of Nations, Total AFCON Cameroon 2021, will take place in 2022. I have no doubt that it will be another opportunity for you to express your dynamism, talent, and enthusiasm. In spite of the difficult economic situation, our country is well prepared for both events. We have built ultra-modern facilities, some of which were used for the first time during Chan that has just ended. We have to learn to preserve them. On account of their multiple achievements, Cameroon's young sportsmen and women deserve the sacrifices made for these major investments. This should be a genuine motive of pride for all of us and an encouragement to win more victories. I want to call on Cameroonian football governing bodies to pull themselves together and restore order to their organization. It is only in so doing that we can create the best conditions for the sustained development of our football.
The 55th National Youth Day commemoration in Cameroon is taking place in a context where, according to the CRM party leader, Professor Maurice Kamto and Cabral Libi, Cameroon is breaking records with a very high rate of youth unemployment, and also in a context where the political figures say is marked by the gruesome killing of young people in the northwest and the southwest regions, but also in the far north regions of Cameroon. These, they say, are serious threats that must be well or perfectly effectively handled by the government in order to make Cameroonian youth be comfortable and be happy again to celebrate National Youth Day. They were speaking in separate addresses to the Cameroonian youth within the context of the National Youth Day 2021. Charles Ekome tells us more in the following report.
Addressing youths within the context of the 55th edition of the National Youth Day celebration, the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, says it is saddening to see youths die on a daily basis, especially in the troubled hit northwest and southwest regions, which have been adversely facing an insecurity crisis for more than 4 years now.
While this day is supposed to be a cause for celebration, it is very painful for me to remind so many young Cameroonians who have lost their lives during the year 2020. I think of so many of them from the northwest and southwest, including the far north. So many of them were killed, and until today, we don't know exactly who were the killers. And we still ask the government of this country to make everything possible to shed the light on what has happened in the two regions.
Professor Maurice Kamto also urges the Cameroonian government to shed light on the mysterious disappearance of Samuel Wazizi, the young journalist who was incarcerated but later reported dead by security officials with no proof of his mortal remains till date.
I think particularly of the young journalist, Mr. Wazizi, but until now, we don't know exactly what has happened that day. It is terrible that young Cameroonians cannot feel insecurity in their own country. I therefore appeal on you, young Cameroonians, youth of this country, to stand up and take the unique opportunity ahead of us to change the ruling regime.
Meantime, Honorable Cabral Libi, president of the PCRN political party, also reacts on the National Youth Day celebration and thinks that youths in Cameroon are not given enough opportunities, especially in the political sector. Furthermore, he condemns the breaking record of youth unemployment in the country. For him, youths are suffering, suffocating, and exasperated. Highlighting this series of problems in the Cameroonian society, these political figures believe a change in leadership at the helm of the country's top executive position of president is what Cameroonians need, especially youths, because they need proper mentorship and guidance, for they are the future of the country.
Meantime, youths in the southwest region of Cameroon believe that they are not involved in decision-making and issues that concerns their region and also Cameroon as a nation. The youth today marched from Bongo Square to the governor's office in the southwest region, carrying messages asking that they be involved in decision-making in Cameroon. Derek Jato tells us more from Buea.
The COVID-19 pandemic might have stopped them from officially celebrating their day, but not their message of the day. These members of the Southwest Youth League are on the street of Buea this 10th day of February 2021 to announce their presence by carrying out a peaceful march that took them from the Independence Square to the Southwest Governor's office, where they delivered their message.
Since 2016, when the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest region started, the youths of the Southwest region have been dormant. We have virtually abandoned everything to you and your administration, and we think that it's time we came up with something tangible to support the administration in its fight.
Iswa Kisitu, the Pioneer Regional President, promised Southwest Governor Bernard Ukaliabilai of their determination as youth of the region to accompany the government.
Henceforth, you can count on us. Get us involved in your activities so that we accompany you in your drive to bring peace in the region.
Responding, Southwest Governor thanked them for their show of patriotism and begged these youth to convince their kind still in the bushes to come out and join them in the society.
Dear youth, I would like first of all to welcome you to this governor's office. When we talk development, we look at the youth. So if you don't continue the action of developing yourself, developing your area, the village, development will stop with your fathers and you will lose everything. Those were in the bushes. Tell them that they should come out to join the train of development.
And also present was Chief Professor Agbo Bechem, who qualified this youth engagement as an indication of a better Southwest region.
I am very, very satisfied that there is a group of youth that have stretched their hands that we can hand over to them and they can ably handle the affairs of this region with confidence.
The Southwest Youth League was created in 2020 with the objective to contribute in the development of the Southwest region, whose identity has been punctured by the Anglophone crisis.
We shall be talking the plight of youths in Cameroon, their worries, and also the context under which the 55th edition of the National Youth Day is being commemorated in Cameroon in the second segment of this newscast. That is on a talking point with our guest. We shall also be looking at the environment as painted by Professor Maurice Kamto of the CRM political party and Cabral Libi of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation. But we stay in the southwest region, where in inhabitants of Eboko Bajo are asking the government of Cameroon to support them and help them go back to their village that saw a disturbing fire incident. The fire incident destroyed over 100 houses. The people are now scattered in different areas across Cameroon. Eboko Bajo is a village in the Kupe Maninguba division of the Southwest region. Simat Njikan Gabriel.
Inhabitants of Eboko Bajo village in Western Bakosi, Tombel subdivision are still waiting for government support several weeks after over 100 houses were burned. Nothing has come as government aid, and they say they urgently need it now.
Feeding, we need, because we need things like mattresses.
We need mattresses and foodstuffs. If we can be given these things, then we shall be okay. Some people are already returning to the village, but no room for them to sleep. Our schools and churches is now hosting most of the people.
The school compound where we get them, we don't design and say, maybe even our church.
The incident that occurred late 2020 is still very fresh in the hearts of the people of Eboko Bajo, as most of them have left the village, with some residing now in Kumba, which has become their second home.
As the village don't be burned.
After the village was burned, I moved to Kumba with my family, where I'm renting and my kids going to school, since schools were shut down in the village. When we arrived in Kumba, with the aid of our chief, we had some assistance that is still keeping us till now.
Some people then decided they can't help me for provide me food, so they live here.
After the incident last year, a census was done recently by the chief of Eboko Bajo, who is also seeking asylum in Kumba.
We go for village. Will make a good census of all what will happen.
After a census of what happened in the village, we discovered that 159 houses were burnt. 836 people were left homeless. In Kumba, I live with 102 families, and the others are scattered in Mombo, Ekona, and Nyandong.
They don't scatter. Mombo, Ekona, Nyandong, and all other villages for Western Bakosi will still breathe well. In fact, mostly places like Tape, where they're near Eboko Bajo. But the bulk of my people, they did it.
Reports say that the divisional officer of Tombel subdivision, Yam Leonard, has once visited the zone, but till date, no changes. The fire that destroyed over 100 houses at Eboko Bajo have been linked to suspected armed men.
Uncertainty looms in Banka in the west region of Cameroon, where there is a show of strength between the mayor and traditional authorities in Banka, that is in the Opankam division of the west region of Cameroon, and the show of strength is threatening peace and stability in the area. A municipal project to rehabilitate Rond Point Bashi in Banka is being blocked by traditional rulers who are contesting the project. The traditional authorities, who say the mayor and his team destroyed the status of the paramount ruler of Banka planted on the site. The situation sparked waves of angry reactions which almost degenerated into a terrible confrontation before the intervention of the administrative officials of Banka and the Opankam division, as well as the public security officials. To calm the situation, the senior divisional officer for the Opankam division ordered in an imposing manner that the project be on a stop, or the construction project stop for a while around the Rond Point Bashi, and further said that he has instructed the mayor of Banka and the technicians to reinstate the status of the paramount ruler of Banka and those two lions which were displaced by the project technicians immediately. He said that the removal was a sacrilegious act. The mayor, on his part, says that the project is meant to give a facelift to Banka. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the first part of news. Coming up is Talking Point. We are receiving the Secretary General of Modegna, Jones Tamfo, for me. Thanks for accepting our invitation.
It's with pleasure and honor that I accept your invitation tonight to talk about the stakes of our nation, Cameroon.
Yes, you are a youth, and we are receiving you on the 11th of February. Today marks the official celebration of the commemoration of the 55th National Youth Day in Cameroon. And now we are after having had the message of President Paul Biya, we had politicians reacting to the message of the president. But we'll go further to talk about the atmosphere in Cameroon as of this edition of the National Youth Day. I want to start with the message of President Paul Biya, because you are also a politician, the Secretary General of Modegna, both being a youth. President Paul Biya, one of the key declarations is where he asked the youths in Cameroon to isolate, to disassociate themselves from youths who preach hate on social media. What do you make of that call?
For me, you are a youth. First of all, I would begin from where we are talking about this is the 55th edition of the Youth Day celebration in Cameroon, and we should not forget, I don't know from which angle the celebration of the Youth Day was initiated, but all I know is that this marks 55 years of the two Cameroons coming together, because the 11th of February 1961 history holds it that it was the day that the Southern Cameroons decided to vote during a referendum to join the Republic of Cameroon. That's what history says. I was hoping that maybe this day would have been celebrated as a United Day in Cameroon, or a Day of Unity in Cameroon, but unfortunately it is celebrated as a Youth Day. I don't know the reasons why, but that notwithstanding, celebration is celebration. We are celebrating the youth of Cameroon. What have the youth of Cameroon offered? What opportunities have the government of Cameroon given to the youth to showcase what they can give to the nation Cameroon? Now, when the president talks about youth dissociating from hate speech and other youth that are trying to create disunity in Cameroon, I don't get it. Because I was hoping that Mr. Biya would come on air and say that maybe youth should dissociate from the consumption of alcohol and other hard drugs that is making them not to think straight. But unfortunately, he is coming to talk about youth that are preaching hate speech. What brings in place the preaching of hate speech? That's what we should be looking at. Because if the country was well run, I don't think people will be preaching hate speech, because when you look critically, people will say that the youth have been galvanized, they have been that means they are being pushed by a group of persons or by different societies. I don't get it. If you don't treat your wife or your children good at home, by the time they start revolting against you, you should not blame the neighbor. If you manage your home well and your children well, I don't think that any outsider can come and tell them what does not exist, and they believe in that thing. Because these youths are living in the same country. We have so many things that the youths are doing that are contrary to the normal day-to-day life, and what he said, moralization, when he came to power, moralization. Now, we have youth today who involve themselves in what they call a portefeuille magique. That's a magic wallet.
Yes,
those are
a lot of social.
Those are social ills, that prostitution.
A lot of those things that you expected the president to address now.
Yes, and Cameroon is rated as one of the countries in Africa that consume a lot of alcohol, and this alcohol is being consumed by the youth that permit them not to think straight. So the few ones that are thinking straight are not considered as enemies of the nation. So I think that those are the things that Mr. Biya will have been addressing, that Cameroonian youth should stop the consumption of hard drugs, alcohol, and the involvement in though hate speech is a very important element that he raised.
I remember I had you on one of the programs on Equinox where you are very vocal on some individuals propagating hate in Cameroon, and it was with our Pidgin debate. You are very vocal, and you saw it as a serious issue. You were at one point questioning the silence of some administrative officials in Cameroon on that, and now the president is coming. Is the call not coming at the right time? Is it not well placed?
I would say it's not coming at the right time, given that some people who have use hate speech on others are still moving free in town. So if these guys were arrested, because there's an individual in the southwest who called the others, come no go, that they should pack and go back to the northwest region, and nothing was being done to this individual up to date. So when you come and begin to talk about hate speech in the country, that hate speech is being carried out and goes freely, scotch free, without being punished, and you come to talk about it, I don't see any need. If this man was punished and you are talking to them about hate speech, I would say, I would accept and clap to the fact that you are pointing out hate speech that should be swept away from our society.
Now, there is also another issue. He talked about hate speech, youth who propagate hate, and also youth who have taken up arms, asking other youths to disassociate or to run away from this category of youth. Now, after you must have addressed the call for youth to run away from those who have taken up arms, I want you to come up with some, outline some of the factors which could make the ground favorable, the soil favorable for the growth of hate, for the group of youths being easily radicalized.
Mr. Biya also made mention that nation building is our responsibility as a youth, which is true, that we should champion nation building. It is true. Now, how are we going to champion nation building as a youth? When I look at the history, you realize that Mr. Biya entered into administration, Cameroon administration, in the presidency at the age of 29 years. He was 29 years old when he was appointed chargé de mission at the presidency of Cameroon in Yaoundé at the age of 29. Today I'm in my 30s. If Mr. Ahidjo could give Mr. Biya the opportunity as a youth to be a chargé d'affaires at the level of the presidency, it means that he trusted in the youth. He had trust for the youth, that the youth could come out with something. But it is so unfortunate that this same Mr. Biya, who was appointed at the age of 29 years upon leaving school, is still in power for over 59 years, because people talk about Mr. Biya being in power for 38 years. He has been in administration for 59 years. If he was appointed since 1962 as chargé d'affaires at the presidency, and today we are talking about 2021, it is 29 years in office, because from then, 1962, up till then, Mr. Biya has been moving from one post of responsibility to another as a youth. So today, if he still calls himself a youth, because he said that they said that they are youth, that's why they are still in power, and think that another youth cannot take over the management of the state affairs of this nation, or the management of the post of responsibilities in this nation, I think that it would be a shame that such an individual should come to address the youth on a youth day. When you look critically, look at it, we have had something like the commission, because we are just from the bilingualism week, the commission of the bilingualism commission
for the promotion of bilingualism
and multiculturalism. Okay, you see a senator is appointed to handle that commission. That's a senator, a man who is already having a post of responsibility as a senator, who is a former prime minister. He is now appointed a former prime minister who becomes a senator, and is now appointed again to handle another position of responsibility in the same country, whereby so many youth are out there looking for jobs and competent. And he goes forward at the end of his speech to mention names like the physicist Asene Stefan Tema Biwole, who is at the General Atomics.
You are trying to outline the factor, and it's a call. We had a report from youth who are asking Boya that now they be involved in decision making. They be given the opportunity to be in key positions, ministerial position. I want to believe. But now, Jones, if we are having youths who are having challenges getting to deal with themselves, getting to better build their environment, youths who are into drug consumption, youths who drink alcohol from morning to evening, youths who are into some such ills like you outlined, will they be able to sit up? Is the Cameroonian youth, from your perspective, ready to take positions like being ministers?
They are ready to take position.
Because first of all, we have youth, we have some persons, some pretty young people at the level of the National Assembly. It's not been common before this legislative.
It's not been common. We appreciate that fact, but the majority, we have a population which is 70% youth. But in the National Assembly, are the youth 70% represented at the National Assembly? No. Now, if we look critically. I was raising a case before, a point before you get me, which is the same in line with what you are saying. Mr. Biya made mention of this youth who are excelling not even in Cameroon. They're excelling out of Cameroon. What pushed them to leave Cameroon? Is it?
He talks of Jali Ama. She left Cameroon, and when defended got that prize, came back to Cameroon.
She came back to Cameroon, and he is now calling on other youths who are excelling out of Cameroon to come back to Cameroon and develop Cameroon with the skills.
In a sense, are you saying that there is something in Cameroon stopping youths from trying to adequately explore their potentials?
If not, how will you explain it that youths are living from Cameroon and excelling elsewhere? This man who is at the level of General Atomics, if he was in Cameroon, he would be consuming alcohol somewhere. But because he left Cameroon, youth in Cameroon are consuming, because he left Cameroon, he is where he is today, excelling. He's not the only one here. There are thousands of them out of Cameroon.
Secretary General of Moderna, what then is the problem?
The problem is that the youths are not given the chance to showcase their competency and their capabilities. Cameroonian youths are very talented. As we speak, we are waiting for the ministerial appointment, and we are hoping that Mr. Biya will appoint into those ministerial positions so many youths, because I myself am a Cameroonian youth. If I'm appointed, I will do better than some of the ministers that we have so far. So now what are we talking about? Youth. If youth should leave Cameroon and go and excel elsewhere, it means that in Cameroon they will do better. But if they are not given the chance to excel in Cameroon, how would they do it? They are excelling elsewhere because those countries have given them a platform in which they can showcase their talent and excel. But in a country whereby the old men have taken hostage of power and they don't want the youth to come to power or to sit in position of responsibilities, because as we speak, even in the CPT, I'm sure they should be tired of Mr. Biya, because since 1982, he is president of the party. If somebody had entered that political party at the age of 35 years, hoping to become the president of the party one day, maybe by now the person should be dead, because the person should be over 60. In the same party, you should be hoping to excel in that party, and you are unable to move an inch because there's a man who has sat at the head of the party and he's not ready to move, and he came there as a youth because Mr. Biya took power at the age of less than 50.
Yes,
which means that
you are a youth, accept, and of course you are being more political than being real of the issues of the common youth. You have an opportunity to be a secretary general of the political parties. I'm raising questions and concerns or backups that any other person sitting face to you, probably is of the generation of the president, will be telling you that youth in Cameroon have opportunities to showcase their competencies. You are also excelling in a political party, and youth, for example, if we want to take up political positions, is it not our right to go in, register into, and vote us into positions?
It is
because I get you accusing the government more at the level of appointments, that we want to be appointed.
It's our right to get registered, to vote, count our vote, and make sure that the real people occupy real positions so that real decisions can be taken and this country moves forward. But Elekam stands in between registering, voting, and choosing our leaders. Okay, they say that Elekam is a body that manages elections in Cameroon and is an autonomous body. But you see that the head of the Elekam is appointed by the president of the nation, who happens to be a president of a particular political party. And this makes it that this man of Elekam, this head of Elekam, is answerable or accountable to the man who appoints him. So you see that it makes it very difficult, and we have complained in Moderna time with that number about the present electoral code, that there are modifications that should be carried out in that electoral code. But so since nothing is being done, there is no hope.
Yes, we
keep fighting and hoping that tomorrow will be better.
Now we have one last issue that I want us to raise. Now there is an atmosphere of this 55th edition of National Youth Day painted by Professor Maurice Kamto of the CRM political party, who says it is coming at a time when youths are being killed. He went further to even ask of the body of Samuel Wazisi. Youths are killed in the northwest and southwest. Cabral Libi talks of high level of youth unemployment in Cameroon. Is that the reality? And if at all it is the case, and you confirm it, how is that affecting the commemoration of the Youth Day amongst youth in Cameroon?
It is real, because when you look critically, the soldiers who are being killed there are youth. The civilians who are being killed there, majority are the youth. The voices in the bushes who are being killed them are youth. So you see that the youths are not.
What do you mean the voices in the bushes?
The voices in the bushes are the armed voices in the bushes. I am the one who came out with it. I'm not the one who came out with the term. The term was brought out by one of our officials that we look up to. So there are the youths of Cameroon that will have made sure that this nation should go forward. But unfortunately, they are being killed. The Yaoundé government sends youth to go and fight another Cameroonian youth in the northwest and the southwest, and in the course of fighting, they interkill themselves. These are the youth that will have taken this nation forward. They interkill themselves. How many of these elders or ancestors who are in Yaoundé have killed during this crisis? None of them are dying, but the youth are dying, and they make sure that these youth should die so that they continue to remain in power. So I think that time has come. I was hoping that Mr. Biya will come yesterday and say that this youth, I am tired of the power. I have worked and I am tired. I think that I will leave so that somebody else will come to power and continue from where I ended.
A youth.
A youth, obviously, because he came to power, he was a youth. But now he's old. I think that what they should do as patriotic citizens of Cameroon, they should resign and leave power peacefully so that a youth can take over power, because an old man has no vision. When you are old, at a certain age, you are only waiting for death to come and do you part. You will not have vision, because only a youth will think that Cameroon in 20 years, 30 years should be like this. Cameroon in 50 years should be like this. But an old man who knows that 50 years will not meet him alive, will not have anything to offer to Cameroon, and will do nothing, will come out with no effort to see that into either Cameroon moves forward. So I think a youth should take over and take Cameroon to 2035.
Thanks very much, Jules Tamfo. For me, you are the Secretary General of the Modegna political party and also a youth in Cameroon. It was nice having you.
The pleasure's mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your keen attention. Stay in the company of interesting programs on Equinox Television.